Hi guys, Aaron Dorr here with Georgia Gun Owners, and as you guys all know, in the run-up to the May 24 primary, we've been working very hard to expose races where we have a pro-gun candidate and somebody who is trying to hide their views. And a lot of times we've got one pro-gun candidate and then multiple Republicans who are trying to hide where they stand on our gun rights, and we love to expose those. This video today is a little bit different. For the first time in this cycle, we have two candidates who are 100% pro-gun, and we have one candidate who is definitely trying to hide her beliefs when it comes to your gun rights. So we're going to break this down for you today. This is House District number 28. It's this big chunk up here of Forsyth County, the top portion of Forsyth County, and it's a deeply Republican area. Whoever wins this primary will be the state rep in District 28 for the next 2 years. And so, as always, we're trying to find out, as a gun rights organization, who is the pro-gun candidate so we can tell our members and other gun owners who backs their gun rights. You guys can decide who to vote for. Our job is to tell you which candidates are pro-gun and which ones just say they are. We all know this is the problem, right? It's Georgia. We don't have very many Democrats right now in Atlanta. They have no power, they control no committees, they set no agendas, they are largely impotent politically, at least right now, here in Atlanta. The problem that we have in the state is a runaway freight train full of rhino Republicans who say they're pro-gun at election time and then do nothing to advance our gun rights once they're in office. They're not stupid. Right? They're not stupid. So they're not publicly backing gun control, at least not yet. What they do instead is they get to Atlanta and they just simply don't do anything to advance our gun rights. That's why when most of Red America already passed constitutional carry, we finally got it done in 2022, well after most of Red America had long since done it. And so our job here is to find leaders in the fight for gun rights. And in this case, we have a rare situation where we have two candidates who are equally pro-gun. We've got Blake McClellan and we have John Luchetti. And if I pronounce your name wrong, John, if you see this, man, I apologize. Did the best I could. But Blake McClellan and John Luchetti are both 100% pro-gun on their GGO candidate survey. In other words, we didn't just call them on the phone and say, hey, are you pro-gun? Because everyone's going to say they're pro-gun. That's the whole problem, right? We gave them a survey. As you guys know, it asks all kinds of questions on how they would vote on the big issues of the day. And so we asked them a series of questions. First one was the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Now that we have constitutional carry, we're pushing for SAPA legislation in Atlanta. It would defang, it would blunt the impact of Biden's gun control via executive order by simply saying that Georgia cops cannot help the Biden administration enforce it. Georgia cops would instead enforce Georgia law when it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories. Blake McClellan said he would 100% support that. He would co-sponsor that. John Luchetti said he would support that bill. He would sponsor that bill. Both of them pro-gun responses. But Julie Tressler is refusing to tell gun owners where she stands on the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Julie is definitely the establishment queen in this race. She has backing from a lot of the rhino Republican apparatus in the Capitol. Not surprised to see that. And so, frankly, we're not surprised that Julie Tressler is hiding where she stands on gun rights. You see, the word goes out. David Ralston talks to all the preferred establishment rhino herd candidates, and he says, whatever you do, do not complete the Georgia Gun Owners Candidate Survey. If you want to be loyal to us, if you want our help, ours is in the Republican machine in Atlanta, then ignore that survey and hide where you stand. And unfortunately, that's what Julie Tressler has done. So she will not tell us if she would vote in favor or against the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Both Blake McClellan and John Luchetti, oppose red flag gun seizures. This is a great big topic these days with Republicans. Sadly, a growing number of them in Washington, D.C. support the idea of red flags. Sure, they're going to clean it up a little bit. They're going to make it not as bad as the Democrat version. Maybe they're going to get rid of the ex parte hearings. Maybe they're going to shorten the length of time before you can appeal. But many Republicans in D.C. are backing this. And a growing number of Republicans in the state level across the country are backing this too. We need to know which Republicans will fight against these here in Atlanta. and both Blake and John are on the record opposing red flag gun seizures. Julie Tressler will not do that. Will not do it. And again, with so many Republicans beginning to back this idea, that's very dangerous for gun owners. Same thing when it comes to waiting periods. After the spa shootings, last year and a half ago here in Georgia, there was a big push to mandate waiting periods. You see, the left is always trying to change their messaging. That guy passed a background check, so that didn't work. So then, we have to have waiting periods instead. And the entire Democratic caucus here in Georgia backed that legislation over the last year and a half. We asked both Blake McClellan and John Luchetti, how would you vote on waiting periods? Because we all know the truth, right? Waiting periods only get people killed, the good people. Criminals already have guns. If they don't have a gun, they can find a gun. That's not going to change. What waiting periods do is they impact our ability as law-abiding gun owners to find firearms. You might have said to yourself, well, I already have all the guns I need for 2 lifetimes. Not a big deal. Well, consider that the largest demographic right now of people buying firearms are women. Many of the women who are buying firearms are buying them for the first time. Many of them saw the riots in 2020 and said, hell, I can't trust that the police can always get here in time. So they're buying firearms for the first time. The last people we want to see have to wait are unarmed and helpless women when they need to have a firearm today. Waiting periods are lethally dangerous. Despite that, Julie Tressler refuses to tell us where she stands on waiting periods. Very dangerous. Same thing on universal background checks. This is the big push right now in D.C., H.R. 8, and it's being pushed here in Georgia as well. Universal background checks, which is another way of saying total gun registration, would mandate a NICS check for every firearms transfer. So you give a gun to your grandson for Christmas, one of your family firearms you want to pass down, that'd be a felony if we have universal background checks, because you'd have to have a NICS check done on that gun and your grandson. In other words, give Joe Biden all that information before you can give your grandson that .22 firearm. Complete crap. We are 100% opposed to that. Thankfully, Blake McClellan and John Luchetti are as well. Unfortunately, again, Julie Tressler continues to refuse to tell gun owners how she would vote on universal background checks. Lastly, AR-15s. Both Blake and John 100% support your right to own, buy, possess, excuse me, an AR-15, the magazines that go with it, all of it. Sadly, again, Julie Tressler refuses to say if she would vote to ban these AR-15s. It might be easy to be in the right side of this right now, but the problem is never so much how would they vote today when things are quote-unquote easy. The question is, how would they vote on this when things are hard? If we have another school shooting sometime down the road, or a church shooting, or a mall shooting, or any other mass shooting, and some criminal, a murderer, uses an AR-15, and the media goes wild, and Republicans are feeling the heat, how would Julie Tressler vote then? That's the question we have to ask. And from GGO's perspective, if a candidate won't stand up for gun rights when it's easy, they're dang sure not going to stand up for gun rights when it's hard. And so it's very concerning to us that Julie continues to refuse to fill out her GGO candidate survey. 100% pro-gun from Blake McClellan, very proud to announce that. Same thing for John Luchetti, 100% pro-gun, very proud to announce that. The question is, why won't Julie Tressler do the same thing? What is she hiding? Is she part of that Rhino Club already, mentally, preparing to vote against your gun rights in Atlanta, or at the very least, lock down pro-gun bills in committee? That's a fair question you should ask her. And so with the primary coming up fast, if you see these candidates, we'd encourage you to thank them. Thank these two guys for standing strong for gun rights, and make sure and talk to Julie and say, what are you hiding? It's a three-way primary. Both of your fellow contenders surveyed with GGO 100%. We don't trust candidates who won't put their views in writing. What are you hiding? Do you support any of these issues here? And if she says, oh, it's okay, I'm pro-gun, then say, okay, fine, prove it. Document that. Sign the GGO candidate survey. And if she says, well, I don't want to do that, GGO, they're being mean to me. Look, GGO is a mean organization because we don't like limp politicians who refuse to fight for our gun rights. We will expose them whether they're in office, ask Jeff Mullis, or whether they're candidates, ask Julie Tressler. The issue is not whether or not they like Georgia gun owners. The issue is, will they fight for your gun rights? Don't take any crap. Don't take any one-liners. Don't take any platitudes. If she says she supports your gun rights, then demand that she fills out the Georgia Gun Owners Gun Rights Candidate Questionnaire. Guys, as always, you can find that and the results from these two guys on our website. So print those off, and you can hand a blank one to Julie yourself at a forum and say, here, right now, fill it out. I want to see where you stand. I am sick and tired of seeing Republican backstabbing rhinos in Atlanta doing nothing to advance our gun rights. As a voter in your district, I want to see where you stand. Guys, that's the question to ask her. As always, guys, help us get the word out. Share our video on social media. If you're getting it via email, share it via email. Help us get the word out, expand the reach of this information before the primary, and join our fight for freedom today at www.joinggo.com.